Hi, welcome to our daily encounter. Today we're going to be talking about faith, and we're going to be looking at two different ways in which faith can be exerted. We have the Israelites here at the Red Sea, and they are basically caught between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army. You see, Pharaoh had let them go, but after doing so, he second guesses himself and says, let's go overtake them and bring them back. And so Pharaoh's chasing them, they're stuck, and they become very, very fearful. And it becomes very needful for them to show faith. And the instructions that Moses gives, and then also the instructions that God gives them, shows us basically two aspects of faith. And so we'll look at those now. In verse 13 of chapter 14, this is what Moses tells them to do when he notices that the people are fearful. It says, "But Moses said to the people, 'Do not fear. Stand by and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians whom you have seen today, you will never see them again forever. The Lord will fight for you while you keep silent.'" Sometimes we have to exert faith by doing this very thing, by standing still and being silent. There are just sometimes there's some things that happen in our lives where there's really nothing that we can do in and of ourselves, just as with the Israelites. They basically felt like there was nothing they could do. They couldn't go one way, they couldn't go the other. And we get in circumstances where the circumstances are beyond our control. There's just absolutely nothing that we can possibly do to fix it, to remedy whatever it is. In those particular circumstances, we need to practice this exertion of faith in standing still and being silent. Now, that shows a lot of faith in God when we are able to do that, because the human response when we get into certain situations is trying to figure out how to fix it. What can I do to fix it? What are some things I need to do to get this back under control again? And our minds begin to turn to see what we can do to fix it. But the response is that, don't be afraid, stand still, and be silent. Just wait. God is watching. God knows what you're going through. He hears your cries. He hears your prayers. Just sit back and watch and see what he does. If God can deliver these Israelites from the Egyptians by dividing the Red Sea, by that huge miracle, surely he can help us in our circumstances. But we got to trust him and show our trust by resting in him. But then there's another way in which we exert our faith, and that's by going forward. And this is what the Lord tells them to do in verse 15. "Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Why are you crying out to me? Tell the sons of Israel to go forward. As for you, lift up your staff, stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it, and the sons of Israel will go through the midst of the sea on dry ground.'" And so there are times in which we stand still and are silent and just wait for the Lord, wait for the salvation of the Lord. But then there are times it becomes a time in which it's time to go forward, to get up and go. When it's evident that God is showing us a way, when he's opening the door, when he's giving us the answer to our prayers, for us to get up and march forward and to go in faith that God is basically helping us through it. And so we move forward. There's times that we need to move forward when it comes to perhaps doing certain types of ministries for the Lord, or sharing the faith with others, or stepping out and going out on a branch for the Lord, doing things that we're not comfortable doing. There's a going forward aspect to faith in which we show our trust and our faith in the Lord as we go forward. And as we're going forward, of course, it's based upon this resting that he will make the way, and trusting that he will make the way, but us moving forward, us working in cooperation with the Lord. And so there's times when we need to sit still and be silent. There's times when we need to go forward. But then there's also times when we need to do both. That might sound strange, but in our hearts, when it's in our hearts, or when we talk about our hearts, we need to be, in a sense, standing still and being silent. not that we're not praying to the Lord, but just that we're silent in the sense that we're relinquishing control over to the Lord and seeing what He's going to do. And on the inside, we are resting. We are trusting and resting in God. But outwardly, we might have to go forward. We might have to take action. There might be something that we have to do on our side to walk in, or to work in cooperation with the Lord to accomplish whatever it is. So on the outside, we're walking forward. On the inside, we're resting and trusting and standing still and being silent. But all of these ways in which we approach God and we approach the various circumstances in our lives all exhibit a faith in the Lord, and a faith that puts a trust beyond our own ability, our own strength, and places it on the one who can accomplish all things, who can divide the Red Sea, and can also help us in all of our circumstances. We serve a mighty and awesome and glorious and powerful God, and we need to remember that, to rest in Him, trust in Him, go forward confident in His help. So let's think about that today, guys. Let's think about faith, think about what that means for us, how we can show that faith, and look for it here in this story as we do our daily reading. I thank you guys for watching the video. Can't wait to see you guys here tomorrow. I love you guys. God bless.